You need to be the adult for your parents. You need to be the one who takes the higher road. You need to be the one who has empathy for them and stop expecting them to always support you on the things that you want to do.
Two fellow Canadians, loving the personal development field. You've met with a lot of people that I've met with or that I idolize. I've been working with Tony for 20 years. You got Ed Milet, you got a bunch of people. Let's work this backwards. How did you get to where you are today?
Big question. So I think your purpose comes from your pain. So I think whatever you struggled the most with as a human, where you felt the most worthless, is the thing that you want to then help other people through. And so I struggled so much as an entrepreneur myself in my first business that now I want to help other people build their businesses and become successful entrepreneurs. My biggest core value is believe. It's my one word. It's what I built my entire, business life brand around. And the thing that saved me in my first business was modeling success. I had a software company. By looking at how Bill Gates built his business, I was able to build mine. And so for the past 20 years, I've just been teaching other people how they can model success as well. And it's led me to be able to meet some of the people who I used to only make videos on. So super grateful for.
So tell us a little bit about, you own the biggest dance studio in Canada, is it?
For salsa? Yeah, I own Toronto Dance Salsa. That's relatively new acquisition. I was an investor in it and then took over the business, and we'll teach 5,000 people a year how to dance salsa. So super fun. It's how I met my wife.
Okay.
It's not the typical business I would get involved in because it's harder to scale versus an online business, and is right now in coronavirus era is shut down because we can't. Social distancing and salsa dancing do not work well together.
Yes.
But I took up salsa dancing because it's one of those things that I loved. I love the idea of it. I love doing it. I went and didn't listen to my head. I on paper didn't look like I should. I'm too tall. I don't speak Spanish. I take big steps. I didn't learn dancing growing up, but I took one class and I loved it and just wanted to keep doing it. And then eventually invested into one of the businesses and then took it over and now growing it up. So it's more labor of love than anything else. I mean, it's a profitable business, but I'm in it because of how much I genuinely love it.
That's beautiful. Moving the body's a great thing. Let's talk a little bit about your Built to Serve. What's the core message behind that? What do you want people to get from that?
New book just came out, Built to Serve. The idea is humans are built to serve, and that if you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. Either the world, Rock and I have a big ambition. We want to serve the world. We want to serve many people and have a deep impact with them. And chances are your listeners, your viewers are along the same path. But some people are built to serve the world. Other people are just built to serve the 25 closest people to them, kind of close-knit family, maybe not giant mission, but you're still built to serve. If you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. They did functional MRIs on people's brains and found that when you're serving others and helping others, it touches the same part of your brain as having food and having sex, which are also both pretty important. Human survival needs are survival. One you're dead without, and one you're just really not happy without. And so serving is also in there. Like if you're not happy and you haven't been happy for a while, there's probably been a sustained period of not serving others and feeling like the work that you do doesn't matter to anybody, that it's not having an impact. And so the point of the book is to just shine a light on that, put this magnifying glass in your life and say, hey, you can fix this by serving other people, and then giving people a way on how to actually do it. So not all service is equal. Holding a door for somebody or buying a cup of coffee for the person behind you in line is great. It is good, but is nowhere near as good as helping people go through the thing that you went through and seeing the hope and energy and joy light up in their eye so they feel like they can do it too.
Yeah, I love that. How much of that weaves into your philosophy around, the fact that people just don't believe in themselves?
A lot. I think I call it the world's number one problem. I think the biggest problem in the world is people just don't believe in themselves enough. I like to say everybody has Michael Jordan level talent at something, but they just haven't found it or don't believe in themselves enough to go chase it down. whatever other problem, cancer. Great. I think the woman who solves cancer is a manager at McDonald's because she never believed in herself enough to go chase down a career in medicine. And so I think it times into I am as well. Like, what does I am mean? And I am and believing in yourself to go chase down that big thing. To say I am something, but then not believe it means you don't follow through.
Right.
It's not actually true to you. And so it's probably why we're both talking here together. You invited me on this show, that our missions are aligned. We're just attacking it from two slightly different points of view.
Totally. And the whole idea behind the I am movement is that our loved ones, our parents, our caretakers may have given us a label that we believed, but we shouldn't. We should doubt it, but we believe it. And instead we doubt the things that we should believe. So we might, believe that we're ugly or short or too tall or whatever. And instead of leaning into that, we end up believing it and becoming really a smaller version of ourselves.
And I think it's so important right now. I'm sorry to cut you off. Just I wanted to touch on that for a second, because I think your parents, I have a saying where your parents are pilgrims, where your parents, the opportunities available to you. So I turned 40 in May. So coming up on 40, the opportunities available to me at 40 compared to what my parents had at 40 is vastly different. And so for people listening, especially if you're, younger demographic, if you're 18, 19, 25, 32, whatever, the opportunities available to you as a 25-year-old compared to what your parents had at 25 is insanely different. I'm looking at my son who's going to be 11, who's gets a laptop in his school. Are you kidding me? I didn't have a laptop in grade 6. Like, this didn't happen. And so your parents love you, probably. There's a good chance they love you. They're just operating on a different operating system. They're pilgrims. They want you to see success, but success to them looks totally different because they don't understand the world you're living in. So I actually lead with empathy around that before moving to what I'm going to do with my life. Like, people say, well, why don't my parents support me? Why don't these people, they probably love you and they think they're supporting you. And so it's really hard sometimes for kids to become now the adult in the relationship. You need to be the adult for your parents. You need to be the one who takes the higher road. You need to be the one who has empathy for them and stop expecting them to always support you on the things that you want to do, right? It's really hard to make that mind switch, but when you do, you recognize I'm the adult. Then I think that's actually when you can lean into believe in yourself, to I am, to creating the new life and future that you want for yourself.
I really like that perspective, because I think a lot of the elderly with Google have been outcast now. It used to be that we had to get the wisdom from the elderly, and now the young generations tend to lean toward, I don't really need that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think there's definitely time and place. I think I have my parents on my wall behind me here. So I've got 5 giant canvases on my wall, and these are pretty big canvases. And there's a picture of me when I'm 8 or 9 years old, my parents above me. And my parents are still alive. In their 70s, and they're still who I go to for. They're a rock in terms of belief, right? They would tell me, I'm Evan Carmichael. I can do anything that I believe that I can, which is like the message repeated in my head over and over and over again. And so for how to be a human, I think there's still a lot of great life lessons that you can learn from your elders, from your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, people in the community. I think there's still a lot of value there, but a lot of the tactics. No, like, I'm not going to go to my dad to ask him about how to win on YouTube. It's like, he doesn't understand it. He watches a couple videos. They're not going to know how to set up a podcast and how to do Zoom calls. And right. That's not why I'm going to them. And so I think it's really important to model success, and you model what you like about different people. So behind me, I have Steve Jobs on my wall. I also have my parents on my wall, right? I want to be a father like my father was a father. I can get a lot of advice and wisdom and knowledge and help from him that I may not be able to find on Google, because he can understand me and give me context specific information. I don't want to be a father like Steve Jobs.
Right.
He wasn't a great father, not something at least that I want to emulate and model. But I want to be a visionary like Steve Jobs. And I don't want to be a visionary like my father, because he's not a visionary.
Right.
So it's taking different things from different people to say, the goal is, how do I be the best me? What can I take from Rock that I can learn to make me better, right? And I don't have to agree with everything Rock says. I just have to take 1 or 2 things that makes my life better. Yeah. And I think that's where people are falling down, is they're taking the wrong advice from the wrong people. Nobody is the perfect you. You need to build the perfect you.
I agree with that. Wrong advice from the wrong people. Speaking of that, you have a bag of Doritos and slash represents a form of self-discipline for you. Yes.
I would call it self-love, but we can go discipline.
Okay. So tell us about that, because I think it's significant.
Yeah, so it looks small here. I'll bring it up close to my face. This is a pretty sizable bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
This is not just some tiny,
Bigger than your head.
Bigger than my head for sure. Yeah. So I have a strategy called Damn the Doritos. And people ask me in my videos often, is Doritos sponsoring you? Like, why is Doritos on your desk? This is a weird duck idea that maybe fits or maybe is just a little too out there. But I think when you're on a diet, the common advice is get the junk food out of the house. Don't be around it. Don't be tempted. Have water. Have, like celery and whatever,
Healthy
all the green
things in front of
peppers and
you.
all this stuff, right? Like have that around you so you're not tempted. I think that's a great first step, but I think ultimately you're telling yourself that you suck. And so I see it as if you break your leg, you're on crutches. Great. But your ultimate goal is to get rid of the crutches and walk again. If you are telling yourself, I can't handle being around Doritos or cookies or whatever, then the problem is as soon as you leave your perfect environment, you go to a vacation, you go on a cruise ship, you go to an office party, what are you doing? You're filling your face with all the stuff that you said you weren't going to do, and then you feel terrible. So damn the Doritos. Like this is my weakness. My mouth is watering right now just thinking about these Doritos that are in front of me. I want to eat them. So I went to Costco and bought like the half human size, the big one. And it usually sits right here, but I'm in book promotion mode. So it's my books. So we got them. They're still here. They're down there, but I see it every day when I walk through the office. And it's a reminder, the self-talk in my head is I'm awesome. I'm not eating those today. I think self-love, self-confidence, self-respect comes from doing difficult things and teaching yourself that you do difficult things. So for me, this is difficult. For you may hate Doritos or be allergic to nachos or whatever. That's easy, but find your own version of it. And so I try to apply that. I don't want to tell myself, here's an easy way out. I love hacks. I love, the shortcuts, but not because from a position of strength, not weakness. Same thing like the alarm. People say, put the phone in the other room so that you don't, like it's in the kitchen. So if they get up, I hate that. I think it means every night you're telling yourself, I suck. I'm not capable of just getting out of bed. So I need to have it in the other room.
Right.
And this flies in the face of what a lot of people in our industry will talk about and do. So I'm just saying this is my perspective from myself. It may not be prescriptive, but I think definitely your self-love, self-respect comes from doing difficult things. And I want the inner voice in my head for me to say, Evan, I'm awesome. I'm proud of my effort today.